Streaming on.
Okay, live. Okay, you are live.
Dr. Kalpesh,
Okay.
begin. Start.
Yeah. Good evening, all of you. We can see India is facing a pandemic COVID-19. Uh, it's like for the last couple of months, and followed by the lockdown and the present labor issues. There is a lot of agitation for the labor forces across the country, and some of many have lost their job. Many have not received the salary for last couple of months, and there is a big cut in the salary, or you can say the deduction in the salary whoever got the salary. This is one side of the story, but if you look at the other side of the story, like look at the other side of the story, like employer side, we see the employers are also facing a lot of problem. They are not able to cope up with the situation, what to do in this situation, and they have shown the inability to deal with the situation, and what to do they don't know. So looking at this situation for deliberation today, among we have two eminent speakers like who are working in this particular field for a significant number of years. We have today Mr. Manoj Kumar. He's a director in a multinational company, working as a director in the employee and the labor relation issues. And we have Ravi Kumar. He's an advocate practicing labor and employment laws for more than a decade. So both of the speaker, they are working in this field, labor and related issues, and they work with many organizations like national, multinational companies and POCs also. So I, Dr. Kalpesh Kumar Gupta, along with my colleague, Mr. Hari Krishna Rajput, on behalf of Pari Institute of Law, Pari University, Vadodara, welcome you for this webinar. So before proceed with this webinar, I request our Dean Professor, Dr. Akil Sayed, to formally welcome our guest. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kalpesh. It's very nice to see the dignitaries here on the webinar dais. I'm very much happy that Dr. Kalpesh and Hari Krishna Rajput has continued with the legacy of the Parul Institute of Law, that we are always organizing the seminar conferences on the contemporary issues of the society. And this was a particularly very touchy topic, the labor issues. And daily we are watching on TV and coming across the news about the migrant workers and lots of lockdowns of the industry and job loss. So I really appreciate Dr. Kalpesh and Rajput for choosing this topic, and I'm really happy having wonderful this dignitaries also, Mr. Manoj Kumar and Shri Ravi Mishra Saab. I just gone through your profile, and I'm really fascinated by your profile. I'm very much hopeful that this webinar is going to be very much fruitful for all the students, and not only the students but also the other stakeholders. So I just to begin with this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I request our esteemed panelists to start with the session. Mr. Manoj or Ravi, like.
From different countries. Even if we talk about India, India has many states. So every state follows a different
Thank you, Dr. Akil Sayed, sir, Dean Parul University, Mr. Hari Kishan Rajput, the professor, and Kalpesh Kumar Gupta, the another professor who has invited. Along with that, I would also like to thanks to the organizing committee that they have just given us opportunity to talk about one of the most sensitive topic for the day. And as Akil sir said, this is a very touchy subject. Every day we have been just talking about this, while listening to this television or while reading to the newspaper. We often come to know about the different notifications, different issues. So yes, this is a burning topic which Mr. Kalpes has chosen and invited me and my another good friend Mr. Ravi. So I would also like to say thanks to the audience, basically the students of the Parul University, that they have taken out the time for just to listen to us. And before begin to this topic, I just would like to give a little more focus on, kind of labor legislations, because this is in a university forum. So uh, without, getting into this importance, probably not able to conclude that how this lockdown has impacted us. So, to my dear audience, I would like to begin with let's take an example of any legislations, whatever you have studied in your curriculum, whether you're in first year or second year or final year or whatsoever. You might have recognized, if you could able to look into the most of this labor legislations are of, either the period of 1947 or beyond that. So having said this, what corollary I would like to draw, that first this labor came and then later this formation of company happened. So let's understand this with the one example, the Payment of Wages Act, which came into 1936. Is that right? Guys, you also need to be, little conversational just to make this session a little better. This will be, more beneficial for both of us, because this is an university forum, and also we are here to get some knowledge from you as well. This is just an exchange of knowledge forum. Okay, so Payment of Wages Act, which came in 1996. If we talk about Minimum Wages Act, this came into the 1948. If we talk about the IDA, this again, it came into 1947. For typically these all legislations with related to the wages, these all have came either before 1947, before independence, or after independence immediately. The idea of drawing your attention towards this legislation is to compare the formation of company, which has started in the 1956 after Company Act came. So no economy, no company can work without labor. So labor and employee is the backbone of any kind of the whether you say economy, or for that matter you say the well-being of the company, or it's a matter of well-being of university, or it's a well-being of the country. So no matter what forum you can correlate, this is one of the very, very important people who play in a very vital role in the upbringing of the society or any kind of the start of the society. So with this, would like to get into the real topic, which has chosen and to given to us, that is the impact. So how this impacted? So Dr. Kalpesh sir, if you have received my presentation, if you can just share with everyone. Right. So here onwards, we'll get into the mode of impact, the risk factor we'll get into in the current scenario, which happened after lockdown. This presentation is like viewable? You all able to see that?
Yes.
All right. And I hope I'm loud and clear as well, right?
Yes.
Great. All right. So next slide. Yes. So this all has begun from this COVID-19. We all know that there is some kind of a virus. In fact, if we talk about Mr. Trump, the president of USA, used to say it's a Chinese virus, because this has started from Wuhan, a city in China. We all know. After this, if we talk this in respect of India, then the first case has been came in March 11, 2020, which has come into the light in one of the state, Kerala. It has begun in Kerala in India. After that, this was the date January 30, 2020, when this has been confirmed that we had one positive case. After that, there was a World Health Organization who declared this as on a kind of world pandemic. It's a pandemic disease, and thereafter the series of things is coming up. Everyone getting into each and every country getting into the just taking the measures to just to control this kind of the menace which is happening, which is destroying to the lives and several lives in so many countries worldwide. So if we restrict this discussion within the India forum, then we'll have to look into the kind of the lockdown which has happened by now. So there were the 3 phases by now. If we differentiate between this, there was the first phase when Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, who has declared the first lockdown, which has started from 25th March and went up to the 14th April, which was of the for 21 days. It has a logic of behind the 21 days because as per the world standard and the kind of the research which all happened throughout the world, it was presumed that if we'll continue ourselves to be within the lockdown, then probably the situation will be much better. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen. And thereafter, immediately, unfortunately, again, the Honorable Prime Minister of country, Mr. Narendra Modi, had to take another hard call, which was from the 15th April to the 3rd May, and that was for the 19 days. Again, there was a logic behind that. So typically, it was supposed to be locked down for the 17 days, but because of the May Day that came into picture, and there was one holiday that was Sunday just before that. So clubbing together, they have decided to prolong this lockdown for the 90 days. And now we are into the 3rd phase. We all know this is going to end on 17th May. But we never know what would be, hold on. So we never know like what will happen, whether this will further continue or still we will be, will have to be confined within ourselves. Because there is a reports from the WHO, there is a reports from the ICMR, which is intelligence of basically the medical who just take care of this all kind of the pandemic disease, or in better in legal word to understand it, we can take that the regulatory body of this pandemic requirements, who is the whole sole in charge of the ICMR. So as per that, there is a possibility that it could be go further long, and maybe on 17th we can expect the another lockdown, and that we may call lockdown 4. So having said this, as there is a lot more anticipation with this regard, we'll need to get into the just a one slide that I have prepared, which is reflected on your screen. This just gives a data that you have been looking into the TVs, whatever the channel you like, that everyone is showing, but just for a standard while we to discuss and just to find out some kind of the solutions which we'll decide just for a brainstorming session. We need to take this into the consideration that today we are sitting at the level of 60,000 cases, and as on date there was an average 2,500 to 3,000 the cases, which is rising on every day. So getting into this, if we compare, if we get into the compare mode with respect to other countries, we are still in much better position. There are no doubt about it. India has maintained by now in a very solid frame. We have in a very, control this menace for a time being. And especially if you look into the kind of a geography, the kind of a congestion within here, the kind of a population, if we take into all this into the consideration, then we are in much good shape. And thanks to the all governments bodies that they've been working day and night throughout the long hours, whether there is a health worker, whether there is even the government school teachers, the faculties, even they have been contributing into that. So for that matter, like police officials, so with their dedication and their hard work, we are in good shape. So this is the current scenario in terms of that, which are the genesis of this problem, the lockdown and the impacting our labors, employment. So we'll get into that. Next slide, sir. So how does this begin? The problem, the risk to the labor and employment. If you look into actually, from a legal perspective, within the legal framework, if you look into that, then typically this has came on 29th March 2020. Why so? Because that day the Ministry of Home and Affairs has came with the notification under the guidelines of the under the legislation, that is a Disaster Management Act 2005, which was the revised version. Earlier, I believe it was of some 90s, and there was another act of 1897, that is the Epidemic Act. So these two acts, within that there were a lot many more things has come earlier. Before 29th March, initially the state government, immediately after Janta curfew, the all state governments has started to bring out these notifications under the Epidemic Act. The Epidemic Act, in short, EA 1987. Within that, there is a provision, the section 4, that talks about that a state is this kind of a disease, the pandemic disease, or kind of something which is disruptive element. This comes into the state list, and the state has a power to take measures to control that for that particular regions. So I think the Janta curfew happened on somewhat around 19th or 21st March, if I'm not wrong. And after that, within this period, from 19th March till 29th March, in between, state government has started taking the measures under the Epidemic Act. And typically what they were doing it, what all this kind of the different notifications which came, and what was the essence of all those kind of the notifications is the 2-3 things. First, just to control all kind of situations, sealings of the border, having confined the people into the minimal activity so that they can start maintaining the social distancing, giving the direction of all those precautionary measures that every individual required to take it. So these were the things which has started in Epidemic Act 1897. However, there was a lacuna in Epidemic Act that this is not that stronger the way Disaster Management Act is. And so therefore, the 29th March came, and under the Disaster Management Act, Ministry of Home and Affairs has given the clear guidelines, and the lockdown first came into the place. After lockdown 1 came, in this notification, Home Minister has also given the direction to the state saying that you can further have a stricter rules and regulations for your state if you feel so. So there was so basically just to understand that, typically this was the preamble which was set for the entire country for all CMs and governors to take care of. And after that, everyone, every state were coming with their own notifications under the preamble of this MHA. Now, what was the basics of this? So the couple of points, 4 or 5 points, which is already mentioned there on the website. I'll just repeat that. So one is, this is in under DM and Epidemic Act, right? What does it mean? That all regulations, all labor legislations will not be applicable, and whatever the directions which is coming under the preamble of a MHA dated 29th March, read with the notifications that a state is coming at his own, will have a binding effect, and that will supersede all applicable labor and employment legislations. So that was the clear mandate, the clear directions. And here the problem begins. Another feature was that no one can, treat those period when the labor is confined within this lockdown as a holiday. Means the company has to give it mandatorily paid holiday, no matter whatsoever, whether the company is cash rich or like it's on the verge of bankruptcy. It doesn't matter. They had to pay, making their people to sit idle, or if possible we can allow them to work. But if we don't have an infrastructure, if we cannot supply them the laptop, we cannot give them in a internet facility or whatever it is required, then we'll have to pay it. So these were the problems. Another problem directive under the MHA was that we cannot lay off, we cannot retrench, we cannot cut their salary, we cannot compensate with their leaves which is on their account. So these all were the clear guidelines in terms of advisory. The word which was mentioned in that notification is advisory, but unfortunately it was coming under the DMA Act, where there is in a section 74 to section 77, you can refer afterwards, that gives a binding power, that gives a superseding rights over all that. And we all employers got on the back foot from there, and the problem begins. So I hope the picture which is depicted on slide is giving the clear meaning. Means basically it has been locked. The company is almost locked. Without the physical locking with the key, this has actually been locked, and they were on the verge of I'll say lot many more problems that we'll come to discuss. So this was the genesis of this problem that we need to continue. Now let us get into that what is the scenario in terms of the impact and the risk on the labor and employment from the global perspective. So if we go by ILO, International Labour Organization, which says, as per their data, this is 20 million jobs worldwide, which is threatened only because of this China virus. And just to understand, out of this out of these 5 people, this is, 4 people are affected. If we look into the percentage to understand it better, so around 81% of the global workforce of 3.3 billion workforce is, the entire worldwide. They are getting into the total pandemic mode. They are totally destroyed. They are totally, on the verge of getting broken into the pieces, because their future is in dark. They doesn't know what to be happen next. And if we think about Indian perspective, then typically we need to understand that the same kind of the percentage, this is around 80 to 85%, which has already impacted as of now, as per the data of NASSCOM. I was just attending a couple of days before one of their meeting, which I still able to recall and I can share with you. The unemployment in the country, which has risen to the 26%. So we were before lockdown, we were facing this kind of the problem, and now because of this, the company has stopped hiring, and because of this stoppage of this hiring, this has went further, risen, and that in totality, as of now, this is 26%, which is getting affected, which has the unemployment has rose to that level. And we can think that this kind of the populations which has been, just could not been deployed on the floor, who's not been productive enough, then what could be the future for them? Generally, this has been seen that it's not only impacting on economy, it's not only impacting on GDP. Rather, this is also impacting on the society as a whole. Because out of this 26%, the most of these people are the self-earner. One member who is earning for their family. We can think of, this recurring impact that could give on this of the families. There were a lot many more notifications, whether this is a central or this is a state, which came and giving the direction that we need to take care of, like ground-rooted people, the people people which are at the grassroots level. If you could remember the famous line of the PM who said, "Niche tabde ke log." So typically the idea is, like your unorganized sector. This could be your maid, this could be your servant, this could be your driver, this could be your housekeepers, this could be, those people. They all are the self-employed people. They are the only member, only person earning for their family. Security guards. We have been dealing with these all people. We have been just paying them without entering into our home. In fact, if I give you the live example, so last 3 months, the maid has not come in my house, and still we have been paying them. Because it has been requested that we need to be empathic to them. We need to be sympathized with these people. Because unless we just support them together, they will not come. And when we'll not be together for this kind of the menace, we'll not able to, win against this coronavirus. So that's the, importance. That's the kind of, the risk factor that we have been taking care of it. But then again, the question arises, how long? How many days? We heard Modi ji, everyone loves him. We all have been doing it. Whatever he says, he's one of the mass leader worldwide and doing a great job. But typically, the question arises, how long? If we compare with the other country, you can take any example. So just in 1 week before, one of my global senior leaders shared one of WhatsApp details where this was containing how the world is treating in terms of the labor and employment. And to my utter surprise, I just came to know that there were around 40-50 countries, mostly these European countries, and every these 40 to 50 countries, they were giving some or other way, some kind of the funds to these organizations, so that they can stand still, they can, support to the laborers. But unfortunately, this is not happening in India. That's the problem. Now let's look at industry-wise how this is, impacted to the industries. If we get into the industries more typically, as per the PTI, there were the 400 million working in the informal economy in India are at the risk of falling deeper into the poverty due to the coronavirus crisis. And this all were directly referring to the unorganized sector that we have discussed in the previous slide. Now let us look at, what are most important industries which has impacted widely. The number one comes hotels, restaurants, travel, airlines, which has an impact of 56%. Whether this is MMT, you can look at, this entire, So entire hospitality industry is shut. There is no hotels in the any city which is functioning. They cannot work from home. They doesn't have any other ways out. Airlines cannot work within the home, right? All those kind of the bookings like MMT. We have one of the client MMT that has actually invoked the contract clause of the force majeure, and they are not paying us. Not to be quoted, just in a request. but then they have just taken this kind of the stand against us, and we can't help it. There is a judgment recently came from the Supreme Court. My friend Mr. Ravi, he will talk in his session, and probably he will give the brief about that in case the time allows. So in that case, and in that particular project, I have 5,000 people. Now, what is the option left with me? I don't have an option much about it unless until we have some kind of the other business that we may get, and I can shift those people to that particular place. But mostly this has been impacting to every kind of the industry. So therefore, that redeployment that we internally we say RAD policy, redeployment, right? So we cannot redeploy every 5,000, each one of these 5,000 people in different forums, because directly, indirectly, it's impacting on all of this. Nevertheless, I think there is a sort of time, so we need to talk more in concise manner. So hotel, restaurants, travel is the number one, which has in the 56% of impact. Another impacting was the retail industries, which has an 50% as per the NASSCOM and the CIE records. Auto and ancillary has a 30%, 38% of impact. Pharmaceutical industries has 26% of impact. Insurance industry has a 11% of impact. Accounting and finance has a 10% of impact. IT software 9% of the impact, and likewise so many other, whether the ITS, BPM or whatever. You can't tell any industry which has not impacted. If there is anyone in exception, then only in exception I do remember, networks, Airtel, or somewhat around the e-commerce. So these two are the only sectors who has not impacted, rather they have gained. But barring these two, each and every sector, whatever that may comes in your mind, has got some or other ways, some impacts, which were in a very destructive one. Let's look at what all kind of the labor and employment issues, the impact of the lockdown, which are in news. So till date, to our record, there are 6 companies who just get courage to do some kind of the who just gathered courage to take some kind of the actions to protect the employer. And I'll tell you what happened, but first and foremost, we'll just look at all those companies. So there is one company is Teleperformance. This is the number 1 ITS companies in terms of that you all know in terms of BPO, business process outsourcing, and the new word that has been defined, that is BPM, business process management companies nowadays it is called. And this is the number 1 company in worldwide. What they did, they have just terminated 300 employees in the location called Kolkata. The another important company is Farportal, terminated 300 employees in Pune, and this went up to litigation, and this reached to the Supreme Court, and there this decision has came that we were talking about the force majeure in a couple of slides back. Third company, another BPO company, Amstock, terminated 150 employees in the Pune. So went against MHA guidelines, state guidelines, and terminated 300 employees in Pune. Another worldwide, another MNC company, Capgemini, they have increased the salary of 84,000 employees. Sorry, it is decreased actually. My apology. They have decreased the salary of 84,000 employees during lockdown. Right. So these 5 TCS, I'll talk a little later. First, I'll define these 5 companies. What all happened? These all 5 companies, whatever the decision they taken with respect to their management, that did not sustain, and they got the backlash from the government. They all has to take their decisions back, or to say they all has to take their employees back. This has happened. So here is the risk. Violation of MHA guidelines, violation of state guidelines will not hold good in the eyes of the law. This will not allow a company to sustain and survive in a country like India. And this happened. And that is the example of these 5 companies. Taking this all into the consideration, TCS came with the some new directions. So what TCS planned, he just looked into the kind of opportunities, I say. So within this lockdown period, they get into some opportunities. The opportunities they found that why not shift these all people permanently, allowing them to work from home only. And this is what they have decided, that here onwards, even the lockdown gets finished, they will deploy 75% of their people from home. They will work from home continuously and for throughout the life. This is the decision with which TCS came. And what is the opportunity? How they are going to get advantage out of it? They will save the lease cost. They will seize the what we call overhead cost. In factories, we all have read about it, overhead. So overhead, leasing cost, then there is an insurance related things, and lot many more benefits under the labor and employment legislations. They all will not require to be given. So for an example, leave things will come out of picture. When already you are working at a home, you are directly or indirectly, sporadically, you are spending some time with your family. So we never know if tomorrow it evolves and TCS has taken a decision that probably will not require to given a leave, or maybe they can restrict only up to the sick leave or kind of another leave, and they can just take out that PLs. And if we just calculate, if we do the simple maths with that regard, then probably this may come into the situation may come as if like the company is at advantage, they are getting benefit out of it. So that is possible, right? That can be doable. So there is a proverb the people says people gets benefit only when the challenges comes. I mean, the new things arrive when they face the challenge. In adversity, the people comes with signs, they get a more and more opportunity. And this is what like TCS is just capitalizing. So there are the scenarios. There can be many more that what the company is thinking about. But till date, these were the 5-6 companies that I talked about, which are in the news, which are the impacted by this lockdown. Now, what happened to the organizations? If I give you some understanding, so typically now the new set of regulations, the new set of compliances has arrived as a matter of coronavirus, as a matter of lockdown, and that we COVID-19 regulatory compliance. So what this regulatory compliance is all about, what the company requires to do within this, right? So these are the things. So every state that matter, DM, whatever the terminology which is used in every state, there is a variance, some kind of. So if I take an example of Gurugram, so the Gurugram DC came with directions, the SOP, single operating process, for each and every company who is, which is present in Gurgaon. And within there are many more directions that we need to comply with. And within that, if be given a, if we divide all those, so typically just last week, I have prepared myself for all those compliances, which is required for my organizations. And there were the 50 items. But all those 50 items, if I just bracket into, then typically this is 3 types, that is social distancing, personal hygiene, cleanliness and safety, and mandatory health checks. Now let it understand that what are the basics of this social distancing. So within that, all workstation, whatever it is, there should be a gap, alternate gap. So suppose there would be sitting A and then B, then C. So B will be removed. We would be required to be given a seat somewhere else, at different place. So that's happening. Then there is an elevator where we are required to, avoid this kind of the overcrowding. For that matter, we need to maintain all those kind of the social distancing, and everywhere, whether this is in a cafeteria, whether this is in a washroom, whether this is in a lunch or cafeteria area, or for that matter, if there is getting into the seminars and etc. Even those meeting rooms, if we're not required to do that, the things has already evolved, and now we have already started doing on, video chats, this Zoom meetings, these time meetings, many more things has already come up. This all has evolved and the people has already started using that. Now within the personal hygienic illness, this has been hand sanitizer has become a norms for today. This has to be, kept at an entry and exit point. So for that matter, this has to be required to be placed within that, washrooms. There should be a difference between the two shapes. Typically, this is hampering to the ITs or in a factory setup where there is which works throughout of the day and night into the 3 shapes. But now the challenge, one of the most challenge that I'm finding, I'm little hurry, because I need to cover up many more things, and I need to give some time to my friend Ravi as well. In case you should have any question, we'll take it up at last. Yeah, so then there is a personal hygiene. As I said, the most important challenge that we were facing is to maintain the gap of 1 hour, which is asked by the DC in almost every district. Where there is a commercial hub, whether this is in a Pune or for Mumbai or Bangalore and so many other metro cities. So that's one of the challenge that we are facing. Then there is a mandatory health checks. Aarogya Setu has become norms for us. Everyone, we have been just enjoying. Everyone has to be compulsorily download this Aarogya Setu app, and there is another challenge which came, the live example which I would like to share, that within Aarogya Setu, what happened yesterday itself, a couple of employees they just changed those data which is required within the Aarogya Setu, and it has immediately, this has started showing the orange, and that entire floor got panicked, which is quite obvious, right? Amber or orange, when the Aarogya Setu comes, that gives a signal that you are getting into the red zone. So how to control that? So everything, whatever is coming up, there is some kind of the limitations. These are the challenges. These are the risks that we need to take care of it. And even we don't have an answer as of now, but the day, the way it will flow, we'll come to know at later point of time. So as of now, as I said, we face this real kind of the challenge. So what we decided in our company that we'll get into this ICMR, and there is a person who actually devised this Aarogya Setu by name of Mr. Amitabh. We'll get into, we'll interact with them. We'll find out what are the methodologies and the technologies, and how we can, overcome those situations. How we can come out of this problem where this kind of the employees may get undue advantage, who may play around it, who can take some kind of the pranks. How we can get that such kind of the not allowing them to take such kind of the benefit. So we'll overcome, but then yes, The regulatory compliance has become a norms in each of the companies. This is one of the impact, this is one of the risks, and this is directly related to the cost. If there is a compliance, compliance has a direct connection with the cost. It's a direct, it goes directly proportional to that. Mr. Kalpesh is, I think you are in little hurry. I can understand the time is getting short, but nevertheless, it's okay. No, I'm okay. I'm done. Thank you. No, so
There
next.
are some questions. There are already some questions in the chat box also.
Okay.
So we need to expedite a little bit.
Sure.
I think I will be available only for questions. Manoj has don't left anything.
No, sure. Okay, so what? Last slide, Kalpesh. Right. So as I was talking about, the compliance which is directly related with the cost, because this is incurred with the cost, deep driving, sanitizers, the mask, all these kind of the facilities that we need to provide. This will not come in charity. This will not come free. The government will not give us. We'll have to procure ourselves. We'll have to manage everything from the, from the company's fund. So here are the challenges. Next slide, sir, please. So what is our expectation as of now? What we are expecting from the company, from the government? How we can come on our feet? How the company can stand again alone? How can they function smoothly the way they were doing earlier? So for that matter, typically, as of now, what we have been looking is this all kind of the labor legislations that directs, all those kind of the immunities which has been given to the employee, which is a mandatory, whether this is a bonus, whether this is a gratuity, whether this is a leave, even who is working from the home, who is not coming to the office, we have to give it up. So these all needs to be simplified. We are just looking for some kind of the immunities. Even some immunities, if it would be provided, it will be in a great help. It will be in a great support. There could be a possibility where this could be exempted in terms of the GST. If you look into the PF, Provident Fund, there is a huge corpus. I don't know what the government will do with that. If you look into the, essentials of the Provident Fund Act, it talks about that this is utilized, this should be utilized. This is for the utilization in the, time of the adversity. But I don't know when that, how, which kind of the adversity they have been looking for. Is there anything more adverse than the kind of the situation, the kind of the crisis that we have been getting into as of now? I don't think so. But we haven't got any kind of the benefit even in PF. So for that matter, we have been looking for some kind of the exemptions in the registrations. Maybe there could be a small kind of people who would have been just launched their business. They should not get into this shops and establishment registration, PF registration, ESI registration, CLRA registration. There are a lot many more registrations. So I believe for a time being, for those who have just, those entrepreneurs who have just started their business, they should get some kind of the benefits and they should exempt it from all this kind of the registrations. And as I was saying, as I was talking at that point of time, the relief package, which is very important, which we were, just when I'm comparing with the worldwide, the way the world is talking about, the way the world is treating their industry. The same way we have been expecting from the industry, the country, the India PM, that they should give us some kind of the relief. It's though like they have been doing for those labors which has been stranded, but this is equally important for to give some kind of the funds to the companies too. Then there was a kind of an unnecessarily harassment of each and every organizations that they are facing because of so many inspections, which is unwarranted. These all should be stopped for the time being. This could be an great relief. This could be a breather for a company. Likewise, we also believe, companies that governments should tie up with the other countries and to try get the new business, because and we are also getting look into the some of the news. All kind of the MNCs who has wide like So basically all those companies, all those factories who has been working for a very, very long time in China, they have been shifting into the different base. They are frustrated from these Chinese people, Chinese, governments, and they are looking for other countries. And for that matter, if you look into the India comes first. Why? Because of there are a couple of similarities that we have with China. Number one, we have a cheap labor like the China has. We have a huge population the way China has. So huge population is directly proportional to the market, the big market that we have. So probably to my best understanding, the India comes number one. And after this is a Philippines, the second second country, which are in a pipeline, who could be get more avenues, more benefit what the China lost. And for that matter, we employer from employer side, I can say that we expect that they should come more and more. They said bring more and more companies to country, and we already who are settled here in India will tie up, will work along with those companies, and will leverage all kind of the benefits that which could be the possible. So in nutshell, if this government will extend, then the impact which is happening on this labor and employee, this will be reduced within a substantial amount. Next slide, sir. Right. So I think I have already given you, lot many more perspective from an industry perspective, from an employer perspective, and I'm sure you would have some kind of the queries which will take it up at later point time if the time allows. Otherwise, we can discuss all those things through the mail, and that would be shared later with Professor Kalpesh. And here I would like to hand over my mic to my friend Mr. Ravi, who is a seasoned lawyer there in Supreme Court and Delhi High Court that he practices, and he will give you another insights from litigation perspective, all kind of the litigation, what's all happening, and the other details, how the courts are treating the labor issues. So over to you, Mr. Ravi. Please carry on from here.
Thank you so much, Manoj, for giving me at least 5 to 6 minutes, I think.
I don't know, yaar, I'm really sorry if I've taken much time.
It's okay. I think you have covered each and everything. I have to speak only about litigation part. Thanks to Parul University, Akhil Sayed sir, Kalpesh Gupta and Harishankar for giving us an opportunity to at least discuss this burning issue. As Manoj said, court are lots of cases are coming in the court related to these issues. Government, federal government, district governments, and even district level authorities are fighting this type of the issues. Manoj has covered everything, but I will start from the order passed by the Chief Secretary on 20th March 20, which is the first order issued by any authority of federal government. That order was in nature of advisory, in which Chief Secretaries had asked all the state secretaries. Are you getting my voice? Hello? Are you getting me?
Yes, please go on.
In that order, Chief Secretary has advised all the secretaries of UP and state to advise the employers to not terminate the employee specifically casual or contractual. That is the first communication. That is in the nature of advisory, in which government was advising the employer, not instructing or directing. So, employer has taken it very lightly.
Seems
Hello?
there is some issue with the audio.
I think my page is not coming. The page. The page. Kalpesh,
Kalpesh ji, switch on
can
your
we?
microphone.
I think my pic is not coming on the.
Yeah, it is getting interrupted. It's not continuous.
Not. It has not start yet. Kalpesh, are you able to see me?
No,
Oh, that's why I'm saying.
neither we can't see you nor your voice is continuous.
Either you can see me or you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Employer has taken the advantage of the order dated 20th March 20 because that is was in the nature of advisory. There was not any direction to the employer to not terminate casual, contractual labor, whatever. So, employer has started to terminate. Uh, they are reducing the salary by way of entering into memorandum of settlement or by way of entering into contract or closing their company, their establishment without following law, only on the ground that we are not able to survive in lockdown period. Government has started, and government thinks it is the major issue. Migrant workers are roaming in entire country. That was the major issue. Some petition were filed before the Supreme Court to give instruction to the central government to take some steps to ensure the movement of a large number of migrant workers. Uh, Then central government on 29th March 20 had issued an additional measure under DMA Act, what Mr. Malone already speak about it, Disaster Management Act. Section 72 of Disaster Management Act state that this act has overriding effect on all enactment. That is means it will prevail all other the acts. The central government mentioned in this advisory, uh, sorry, in the order, clause number three of this additional measure speaks about the workers, how to ensure the payment of wages, timely payment of wages to the workers. That take payment of wages to the worker by the employer, be in the industry, shop, and commercial establishment at their workplace on the due date without deduction. For the period their establishment are under closure during the lockdown. It means employer, either they are industry or shop and establishment, they have to pay the wages without deduction on due date to their worker. They have used the word worker, not employee. Again, the employer took the advantage of this word because uh, worker is definition of worker is very narrow. And definition of worker is very narrow. Uh, uh, Employee include every means manager, supervisor, DM, director, means like nose, even casual worker, daily wager, everything. That's why they have used the word worker. Employer has taken advantage of this word and started to terminate to industry. I'll give you one example, live example. Uh, Let us start this slide which is showing on your serial number one. All the cases are more or less same nature. They are challenging or favoring the order passed by the central government on 20th March, or 29th March, or 24th March, 25th March. All are the, because I don't have any time to explain each and every case. That's why I'm saying. Uh, Item, in item number 2, I am also participating in this case and representing one of the dependents, so I can explain a bit more in this case. In this case, National Alliance of Journalists, this is the alliance of representing some journalists in the area, local area, some are Mumbai and some are Delhi. They have challenged some steps taken by the employer, like some media industry, if it is related to media industry, some have terminated their employees, some have closed. Small media industry has closed their business. Some have laid off their employees. This issue comes in this matter. They have challenged during they have violated some act. They have mentioned that Section 25(4), which is related to the closure of an industry where more than 100 employees are working, then you have to seek permission from the concerned authority before closing your business. They are saying that without taking permission, they have closed the business. Even laid off, they have used Section 25(n), in which we have to take permission, again, permission from the authority where more than 100 workers are working in your establishment. They are saying that they have violated, petitioners saying employers have violated the act. Hello? Hello? Employer has violated this act. This is actually it is a PIL filed by the National Journalists Alliance. Notice has been issued. This matter was listed on 27th March, along with 2-3 petitions. One is Ficus Pact Private Limited, which is at serial number 3, in which employer has challenged the notification passed by the central government on 29th March. Even after passing the order by the central government of 29th March, which is more specifically for the worker, state Maharashtra government has issued another order under DMA Act, because state has also power to pass any such order. They have passed the order that employer cannot terminate, reduce the wages of the contractual casual worker. They have used the word employee, including the casual contract worker. It means they have brought the definition. Means instruction issued by the central government was specifically for the worker, but the Maharashtra government has issued the instruction to the employer not to terminate any employees or reduce the wages. You can say for any employee. It covers all the employees. Ficus Pact Private Limited has challenged the order passed by the central government on 29th March and the 31st March by the state of Maharashtra. Supreme Court has issued the notice. Likely, most of the matters who are dealing on the same issues will come up on 15th May. Hopefully, the government court will issue some direction in this case. Can it, there are approx 9 cases. 9 cases are pending, and you can see the prayer clause. Mostly prayer are the same, questioning the government order or notification issued by the state government. Now these are the legal litigation pending before the courts. One issue comes to if an employee is working from the home. I think Mohit covered all things, but all things this is more relevant because yesterday I received a query on this issue. One of the employers request to give an opinion on the issue whether traveling allowance, food allowance will be given to employees who are working from the home. My answer was no, because some allowances is earned by an employee during his employment. Traveling allowance is a kind of such. Suppose you are going to work, you're coming back, the allowance is given for this purpose only. You are not entitled when you are working from the home because you are not traveling. If you are traveling only, then you will get. Same situation is food allowance. Recently on 30th April, same issue was challenge the notification of Maharashtra report. Order 31st March 1920. High Court of Bombay has brought pass any order, considering that the same issue is pending before the Supreme Court. However, they have issued the instruction to employer to pay the wages to the employee, except revenue allowance or and food allowance. And additionally, some of them are not coming, so they are not coming.
His connection is lost. Can you connect, please?
All are connected. Please unmute.
So while he comes back, I would like to just cover up, couple of things in between. So generally, this all litigation. So me and Ravi just discussed, just a couple of days back. All were praying in terms of just to take the benefit for the employer against the employee. For another time being, and this all the prayers are the same, as if like the courts can allow the company to take a harsh decision to protect themselves and at the same time to protect the manpower, labor and employee. This is what he was dealing with. And what kind of the immunity that we were looking for is we can compensate with their leaves. So for an example, if there is an employee and in his account there are 40 PLs are pending, so as of now this is expected that this 40 PLs this earn leave, the privilege leave, which is reflected in the account of Mr. A, the employee who is a manager of company, he can either take those leaves or they should be seen as if like is not required to take any further leave, and that should be compensated, that should be donated to the organization, so that the financial crunch that the company is facing, that should be compensated. This should be equalized, this should be shared to some extent in between the employee and the employer. So that was the one of the context typically, which is coming up in every prayer in all those 8-9 cases that he was talking about, which is pending in the apex court of the country today. So I think with this we are done, and we are happy to just take in some of the queries with the paucity of time. And it's my bad, I just could not able to concern with this we could are not done, and we are happy to just take in some of the queries with the paucity of. Yeah, so typically we can, if we can take in a couple of queries, that will be a wonderful idea with the brevity of time. So over to Professor Kalfez sir.
If there are exemption in registration and compliances, then will give free hand to employers to exploit workers. So what's your view on that?
So, Kalpesh sir, I'm not totally agreeing to this, because these exemptions which we employer are seeking from the government is for a time being, for a crisis period. We are not asking from the government, we are not expecting from the government that this will be a permanent solution. This is just for a time being, right? This is not for the permanent. So therefore, I'm not agreeing to this. We don't think that this could be an exploit to the companies, exploit to the labor and employee.
Okay. So like, you might have seen like various states like UP, Chhattisgarh, Punjab. Recently, yesterday, like Gujarat government, they given the 1200 days of labor relaxations. Like, so what's your view on that? So again, it's this kind of things, initiatives, like supporting your arguments. It should be supported to. Hello. Hello.
Yes, Kalpesh.
Sorry, missed the connection. I think you might have seen, the states like UP, Chhattisgarh, Punjab, and recently yesterday, the Gujarat government, they have declared like 1,200 days of labor law relaxations. So,
Correct.
what do
That's
you
correct.
think? Like again, this kind of initiative is supporting to your arguments. Like it will go to in favor of the companies. What about the labor rights? Now they need to strike the balance between industries, the benefit because they are not able to survive. They have shown their inability. What like we should do in these circumstances? But what about the laborers type? What will be they doing? So what's your view on that? What about
So
their rights?
professor, as I said, so their all rights are protected. We have been, the decision has been taken. A lot of companies which are a part of CIE and NASCOM, they all have taken on a call in that regard, that there is no hampering, there is no touching to the rights. The only the benefit that which has been sought is only from the company, from the government, in terms of the exemptions from regular activities. So maybe you can say that we are bound to pay the PF and DAS on a monthly basis. We are looking for an exemption from the payment of statutory payments from the PF and DSI for a time being. And as you the rightly you said and given the example, the most important one, which has most recent one from the Gujarat. If you look into that, the Gujarat government says this is for the just for the 1200 days. This is not for throughout.
Okay.
So idea is that, Mr. Professor, that basically this will be for a time being, and anyways the protection of the rights for the labor and employment has to be there, because today is the the time of millennials. Today is not the time of 80s and the 90s, the era that we were belonging. They are well versed, they are agile, they know what all happening around the world. And if you think that, we as an employer, even we think that we can hamper their rights, I don't think this is possible in today's world,
Okay.
honestly.
Yeah, definitely. I think you have answered the question from the Dr. Prem Chand. He asked the question like, can you also deal with the suspension of major labor laws by the state, impact on labor and industries? So I hope you answered that question. And there is one question from faculty Amisha Shah. I think this is the time to go towards the Gandhi's era, right? And they should we should focus on localization rather than globalization, like you talked about in your statement.
We are doing Make in India is just like localization. Every industry is coming to India and starting their manufacturing unit, giving employment to India. That is good localization. MNCs are coming in India.
Okay, so there is a question from the Professor M.R. Dixit, is from our faculty from Ahmedabad.
In fact, just
he
in
told,
addition,
yeah,
sorry for interruption, and
no, no problem.
just to add what our friend Ravi said. So when this company will say, so we all have studying the merger and acquisition, I'm sure, right? So how in India the typical MA happens? This merger and acquisition happens with the support of local company. So anyways, this has to be start the business will start only in connection when the any outsider company, any MNC comes in India and gets along with the some company, when they gets marriage with some Indian company. So
Joint
localization
venture.
happens
You want
by
to say
default.
joint ventures?
Correct. So the marriage between the two external companies happens and the entrepreneurship begins. So localization is happening by default.
So what's your view on the impact on education sector of lockdown?
Yes.
Because various, what will the impact? Any cases you dealt with or you come across? Ravi.
Correct. So
I was giving you an example of traveling allowance that is related to one school. Teachers were they are going to pay the wages. Then they ask whether we are obliged to pay the wages, traveling allowances to our teachers who are teaching the students from their own home. Then we advise them they are no necessity to pay traveling allowance. They are definitely they are entitled to other wages as per their contract.
So there is a question from Professor M.R. Dixit. Like, what is the obligation of state under this act? And the statement is there, like payment of wages without working is like an indirect tax imposed upon by the government. They are not working, government is asked to make a payment to, and like indirect tax. So what's your view on that?
Yes, thank you so much, Professor. It's in a right way of thinking, because being in a university, if you are thinking like that, it's in a it gives in a kind of in a boost to our thought as an employer, that typically this is an indirect tax. This what we also think about, because if we look into any countries other than India, there is a clear cut fundamentals. If we let's take an example of US. So in US, what happens? There is a provision in their labor legislations: no pay, no work, no pay. But in India, we doesn't have that kind of thing. So therefore, if the thing is happening without any work, if we require to pay, then this is a naturally it comes as of indirect tax. So we agree.
But one thing I want to add in this, uh, government does not have any power to ask the employer to pay the wages to their employees without working. That's why they add the COVID-19 in the disaster definition of DMA, because that has overriding effect on all other acts. They have notified COVID-19 as a disaster. And disaster management act, state government, central government, even district level authorities have empower to issue notification, not notification but order to contain the spread of COVID-19. Why they are issuing the notification? Why they are issuing the order? Just to give an assurance to the employee not to move. Just be at home. Don't go outside. We are ensuring that you will receive your wages, everything like that. That's why they amend and insert the COVID-19 definition of disaster.
So how will you, what will the situation, after lockdown is over, maybe after 3 months, 6 months, or maybe 1 year, we don't know. So what will the
So
impact on the labor, when they will come and then you will ask them to please join? So what will your strategy on, from your side, from a company side or lawyer side? Like,
see, from company side, if I give you some live example, I think as of now, the way the decision has been taken at the top level, I'm referring to the MHA level. Sometimes it seems as if mess, and I'll give you the live example. So when the lockdown second came to end, and that day, the decision was taken that all state governments, especially Maharashtra, Gujarat, so that for that matter, Rajasthan, what I am able to remember, these were allowed to shift their migrant workmen to their base location. Whereas at the same time, the MHA, next day, the MHA came, even in the same evening, that was in a Sunday, I believe, 3rd or 4th, whatever the date. The same day, the MHA came with the new guidelines for lockdown 3, that so many companies can start their work, they can resume their offices with certain capping, certain limitation of their manpower. Now, one side you have been asking the manpower to go to Jharkhand, Bihar, right, Rajasthan. On the other hand, you have been asking the employer to open your for company. So there is a mismatch. So as you ask, typically how we'll respond, I think we'll have to wait, but I believe this will be a difficult task, because I don't think the laborers who has just went back, who has been sent back from the Delhi to so many other places, will again, and in near future they would like to come back, because there is if I talk about typically, if I take an example of one Jharkhand and Bihar's kind of the labor, they will prefer. I was just speaking to one guy, one labor, and you know what he said? Bola, sir, मैं non roti खा लूंगा, but I'll not return back to my Delhi of factory. I said, why? he said, I'll be happy to die with my family rather than to stranded in Delhi and die with the hunger. So this was the response. So I think this is we'll have to wait and watch.
Okay, so now it's over. That's a wonderful. Thanks a lot for wonderful discussion. Started with the basic nitty-gritty of various act provisions, and you discussed cases from your company, the live cases that you are dealing with, both of you in your company as an advocate, Ravi, that you are dealing with at various forums, right? So I thanks to both of you, and request Dean sir to make a valedictory remarks on behalf of Parul Institute of Law.
There is no question of giving a valedictory remark, because even I would not like to conclude this session, and still not only the other people, even I do have lots of questions to ask.
You can, sir.
Please carry on. You can ask.
No. We will definitely remain in touch. And
Manoj has not left
very
any time.
it was really very interesting, and I am sure that as I could see in the chat also, even my students would also be highly benefited with this. And I would say that being a professor also, I could clear my lots of doubt clear today about the labor law. So hats off to both of you, and thank you very much to be on a panel. Thank you. Kalpesh?
Yeah. So once again, thank you, Manoj and Ravi, for sparing a valuable time, because you're dealing with so many cases, right? Labor related, it's there each and every hours you deal with so many cases. So once again, I thank you from Parul Institute of Law, Parul University, for sparing your time and giving the various inputs that we didn't aware about the labor and employment related issues. So thanks a lot once again. Hope to see you soon.
So thank you, Akil sir. Thank you, Kalpesh sir and Harish sir, and all other organizing committee, and to all lovely audience of Parul University who just spent some time with us. I'm sure me and Ravi would have been given some insights that would be helpful for their career. They could utilize those things in the practical chapters when they would have been reading. So thank you so much for the opportunity from both of us.